If you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. But now you seek to kill me. But now you seek to kill me. So they were acting like Ishmael was acting towards Yitzhak, who was the true child of the promise given to Abraham. So Yahushua here, and this is amazing now that I think about it, because remember that Paul explains how Ishmael, the son of Hagar, represents those of the flesh, and Yitzhak represents those of the spirit. So how interesting and amazing that here Yahushua says, but now you seek to kill me, as we know that Ishmael would attack Yitzhak, and that's why Abraham had to kick him out. But now you seek to kill me. So Yahushua is saying, I know you are the seed of Abraham, just like Ishmael was the seed of Abraham. But that doesn't mean you are the seed of the promise, right? And oof, this is amazing. I just oof. Listen to this. What does Ishmael mean? He who is heard by Elohim, right? He who is heard by Elohim. That's why Yahushua says, you do what you have heard from your father, because you are Ishmael. Isn't that crazy? All right. So I hope that's understood. He refers to hearing because that's the root of Ishmael, the name. So yeah, you are the seed of Abraham through Hagar, through the law, through the flesh, through slavery, because Hagar was a slave, and so was Ishmael. As we saw in Genesis 17, when he sent his servant to make the um to sacrifice the ox that he got for the three angels that came to him, and that referred to Ishmael. I'm going to explain this real quick again. I speak what I have seen with my father. I speak what I have seen with my father. Yahushua is the light. So he sees, he gives sight. Remember that we walk by faith, not by sight. So seeing represents faith. That's why Yahushua is the faith. I speak what I have seen with my father, and you do what you have heard because you are Ishmael from your father, Halel. Remember that the angel in Genesis spoke to Hagar in the third person when talking about Yahweh, but in the first person when promising her that her child, Ishmael, would become a great nation and will multiply a lot. So, interestingly enough, we see here that Yahushua is saying that they do what they have heard from their father, as in that angel that multiplied them, as he multiplied the lies and the commandments of men and doctrines of demons. So it's so perfect how there's no contradiction, because he's talking about them as being the children of Hagar through Ishmael. That's why they are children of Abraham, yes, but they are not those of the promise. So that's why they couldn't accept the Messiah, who was represented by Yitzhak, who was attacked by Ishmael. So that's why it says, Abraham is our father. Yahushua said to them, if you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham, like Yitzhak. But now you seek to kill me, like Ishmael, a man who has spoken to you the truth, which I heard from Elohim. Abraham did not do this. When Abraham received the word of Yahweh, he accepted it. He didn't fight it. The fact that they were fighting it showed that they were not his children, at least not of the promise. They were slaves of the law, according to the flesh, which is their law. As Yahushua said, your Torah says this and that. You do the works of your father. Then they said to him, we are not born of whoring. We have one father, Elohim. Right? So they were sending him, well, they were pretty much telling him that he was born of whoring, because they accused Miriam of doing so, right? Since she was a virgin when she had him, they would accuse her of that. Other than obviously saying, why would you say such a thing if we were born from good families, good marriages? Not understanding what that even also is or represents spiritually. My point is that many believe they're in a perfect family, but it's all upside down, and they're not able to see it because they are all upside down. So they all seem to be straight to each other, right? You do the works of your father. You do the works of your father. Then they said to him, we were not born of whoring. We have one father, Elohim. Now, Elohim, they wouldn't say Yahweh because it was prohibited to them by themselves. So they would say Elohim, and Elohim also refers to angels. So they're not lying either. They still saying that they are children of an angel. And it's also interesting that they end up saying this after they were the ones bringing a woman who committed adultery, trying to get her killed, right? And now Yahushua is leading them to see that they are the ones who are in idolatry and therefore adultery. They are the ones who needed to be stoned for not believing in Mashiach. Because what is the work of Yahweh? That you believe in him who he sent. So they were not fulfilling the true Torah because they were not accepting Mashiach. You do the works of your father. Then they said to him, we were not born of whoring. We have one father, Elohim. Yahushua said to them, if Elohim, in this case referring to Yahweh, of course, because it's Yahushua speaking, if Elohim were your father, you would love me. That's true, because Yahweh is love. So you would love each other. But even more, you would love me, Mashiach, because I am his child, his image, salvation in the flesh. So if Elohim were your father, you would love me, for I came forth from Elohim. And I am here, for I have not come of myself, but he sent me. That is important because most people have a doctrine in which he sent himself. He came from himself. And that doctrine, even though it seems like is not much different, that doctrine leads to the false Messiah because he doesn't go through the door. He doesn't accept Mashiach as his savior, for he claims to be that and everything else, the Father and the Son and everything, instead of the Son giving honor to the Father and the Father giving honor to the Son. He claims to be both. So he doesn't give honor to anybody but himself. I mean, the false Messiah. So those who have that thought and doctrine will, uh, well, are more vulnerable to the false Messiah's manifestation. Yahushua said to them, if Elohim were your father, you would love me. For I came forth from Elohim, and I am here. For I have not come of myself, but he sent me.